Welcome to Social Critic. I'd like to say a few brief words about what's going on in Afghanistan right now before I get back to episodes covering all those topics for which I think we need some background, as I do wish to address events as they come about. What we are witnessing right now is unfortunately predictable. In fact, I predicted this would happen in the wake of 9/11. I saw a movie in probably the year 2000, possibly 1999, that was from 1998 called Mujahideen, that was all about the uh, essentially the Taliban, but all the different kinds of Islamic fighters that were making their way to Afghanistan in order to pursue things that at the time seemed preposterous to anyone in the West, certainly preposterous that they might be able to achieve those aims. I find the West does not take Islamic fundamentalism seriously. There will be a forthcoming episode on Iran and what is going on right now with Raisi and with the perpetuation of the Islamic Revolution since 1979 and all of the freedoms that are abandoned. I should say that all of those people in those regions whom we have abandoned to people who do not share our ideals at all. What is happening in Afghanistan right now is not only sad, but it is emblematic of the I don't want to say superficial, but hands-on, hands-off approach that the United States likes to have. It likes to give instructions, it likes to intervene, but it seems to be unwilling to take on projects fully, right? To see them until their conclusion. And this is in large part due to the fact that Americans themselves, with the exception of those that have been in the military and return with terrible PTSD, Americans themselves don't understand the cost of their own freedom. The number of Americans to whom I speak frequently that express to me some general ideas about war is bad, violence is not nice, and we just shouldn't have a part in that, seem to be completely unaware that it is our role as world police that also ensures the unbelievable lifestyle to which most of them are accustomed. Certainly those that would complain to me in such a manner. Now, who are our options to take over for America? China and Russia seem to be the candidates with their hands up. France and Britain had it in the previous century, at least, before World War II. One can say that they were the dominant global powers. This is a country that was founded on ideals. It was founded on the ideals of the Enlightenment, and as a result, the kind of culture it might export is one in its very nature ideological and idealistic, with many, many flaws. The United States has many flaws, but the thing that it exports is both ideological and idealistic. Compared to these other countries with a much, much longer tie between their nation, nationality, peoplehood, and whatever form of government they presently have is secondary to the culture that they would impose elsewhere. Okay? The Chinese have a long history of global participation. For most of China's history, it finds itself to be the hegemon in the region, with the exception, notably, of the Mongol conquest and European powers coming to dominate it in the 19th century during the Industrial Revolution, during which time China does not industrialize. In the meantime, the rich culture that had accumulated over millennia was viciously attacked by the Chinese Communist Party through the Chinese Cultural Revolution. And what has survived is what managed to actually survive of that ancient culture, tied with a horrible form of authoritarianism that through economic prosperity and the ability to offer uh, a better life than the ones experienced than the life experienced by those who had lived through the early years of communism. China seems to have placated its domestic population. We don't see another Tiananmen Square, right? We have not had one since. But we would find their brand of authoritarianism absolutely anathema to our own lives and to ourselves. The Russians have nothing to offer. They may have offered some kind of ideological alternative in the wake of the October Revolution and the interesting things that they were truly experimenting with between the First and Second World Wars. However, by the time we arrive at the Second World War, we can already see massive population purges, in the inability to stray from the party line whatsoever, and if one does stray from the party line, one is met either with exile in the Gulag or death. Well, communism may be long gone, but the Russians, who prior to communism were under the yoke of the Tsar, the Russians are exceedingly cynical about their own individual power, and neither will they export a culture that teaches individuals to pursue their own interests. Islam, and there will be many episodes about Islam, Islam means submission. It is no wonder whatsoever that we encounter one Islamic society after another with an extremely strict hierarchy of authority in which the lower tiers must submit, must obey those above. Now, on the human scale, Muslims are at the top. For them, there's only one above, Allah Himself. Well, no one's in touch directly with Allah, so we have only the Quran and the Hadith. The Quran was supposed to have come directly out of Muhammad's mouth, all in one go. The Word of God directly through the mouth of Muhammad. The Hadith are written across about 200 years after the death of Muhammad. Okay, so Muhammad died in 632. Let's say we get the final edits of the Hadith somewhere in the middle of the 9th century. Well, that's well over 1,000 years of anybody, since anyone has really tried to revise that societal arrangement. The Taliban, Talib in Arabic means student. Taliban means something like the people who, well, and Atlab also means order. It's something between studying and following orders. Okay? These people want you to follow orders. Follow their instructions. They are going to instruct you in how to live. God forbid they should ever arrive at our own doorstep. But we have abandoned the Afghan people to something horrible. Something that we abandoned the Iranian people to, not necessarily in 1979, but absolutely in 2009 when we failed to lend them any support in the wake of their so-called Twitter revolution. It is extremely distressing what is happening right now in Afghanistan. And it's not good. If the United States is to remain a beacon unto other nations as to how one can live in tremendous prosperity, build that prosperity, we'll have to become less fickle. And we'll have to become less inward-looking. This is a cycle that the United States undergoes. And we've had many periods of isolationism before. Somehow, between World War I and World War II, we returned to a period of isolationism. I think about those on the left that complain about billionaires going to space. I think you're idiots. Going to space is new and exciting. The number of problems that we have here is never ending. And we will always have to face them. Yet we require someone to do something new, to take us forward. And we certainly should not listen to those voices that wish to anchor us in the past with a weight so heavy we cannot escape. So, I wish the best of luck to the Afghan people. Hopefully, they can help themselves better than we manage to help them.